Welcome back! My name is Baller Scuba. This is Video Games Over Time. We are still in 1980, and today we're going to talk about Missile Command. The story of Missile Command starts at Atari. Atari was still the most well-known video game company in America. While they did have a console and home computers on the market, arcade games were still the most successful games being created. So, there was a lot of pressure on their next arcade game. For their next arcade game, Atari executives wanted to capitalize on the tensions of the Cold War. Seeing an article about satellites, the idea became a defensive game where the player must defend cities from a barrage of missiles coming down from the top of the screen. The lead designer assigned to this project was Dave Thurr, who had worked for Atari for a few years at this point. His first game for Atari was 4-Player Soccer, which came out in 1978. Thurr designed a game where the player has 6 cities to defend. Originally, the 6 cities were named. They were Eureka, San Francisco, San Luis Obispo, Santa Barbara, Los Angeles, and San Diego, representing the coast of California, where Atari's headquarters were located. In order to give the player a sense of defending their local cities, though, the names were removed. This gave the game a much more universal appeal. This appeal worked particularly well with the lead designer, Dave Thurr. Thurr was so engrossed in the game while creating it, he would have nightmares about the game, where the California cities would be destroyed by a nuclear blast. Missile Command has the player defend the 6 cities using 3 arsenals positioned across the screen. By pressing one of 3 buttons, a counter missile will fire and explode. Any of the incoming missiles caught in that explosion will be neutralized. Once the entire group of incoming missiles is destroyed, the player moves to the next level and the arsenals are replenished. Should the player lose a city, that will also last between levels, although they are replenished when the player reaches a certain number of points. When all 6 cities are destroyed, the game is over. If the player does not make the list of high scores, the game displays "the end" instead of a normal game over screen. During development, the game could have had a railroad that would replenish the missiles during the round, but could also be destroyed. There was also a radar mechanic in the game during development, but both of these ideas were removed from the game in favor of a more simple defensive approach. Atari released Missile Command to arcades in July 1980. It sold well enough to warrant an international release. Sega was given the license to publish Missile Command in Europe, while the release in Japan was distributed by Taito. And that is the initial background of Missile Command. With that told, it's time to play Missile Command for ourselves. And here we are in the game. This is Missile Command. Now this is the original arcade title. It would probably be better for me if I was looking for a score to have some of the later titles and stuff like that, stuff that's a little bit more user-friendly, but this is the original version. The original version did come with a trackball that you could use to move the cursor around the screen. I don't have a trackball, and as a result, I believe that my movements will be a little bit slower than normal, but we'll get a good sense, and I'm fairly good at the game, so I should be able to get at least through a couple levels here without the need for that. So let's put in a coin, and we will start. I should mention that there are 3 arsenals here. That's one, and this is the middle one. Notice how faster the middle one is, how much faster that is. It's the reason that it's my favorite, and I use it all the time. Yeah, we're going to be hearing that a lot because the middle one is going to be my favorite. I use it more often than I probably should. But there's level 1 down. That worked out pretty nicely. Get that. Get the plane, because the plane will drop more. Notice how things split on me. See, this is why I don't use the outside ones too much. And you can die too. Alright. Like I said, I'm fairly good at the game. But I should point out that this game has 2 different world records, and I will not be breaking either one of those today. As I have mentioned before, I can't save that one. Can't save that either. Yeah, green is where things start to get a little more difficult for me, and they always have. Once you get to level 3, things start getting a little bit more difficult. The world records for this game, there are 2 of them. One where you get bonus cities back for getting the points. I believe this one, it was 10,000 points to get that. And the other world record is if... I can't save it. The other world record is if you never get any back. The one where you do get the cities back is known as Marathon, and the one where you don't is known as Tournament Settings. Yeah, I'm gonna lose. Once you start getting to red, you kind of have to pick and choose what you're gonna save. Are you serious? Alright. Things aren't going great, but I was able to get the high score on this machine. Can I hit that? No. Are you serious right now? It went right around my explosion. Well, I have a city left, so I get to continue on, and we're on to 4 times points. I don't think I've ever beaten that. All right, yeah, you gotta hit it right on the dot in order for that one. Okay, yeah, I'm basically just trying to defend my one city here. That's the goal. The one city and the one arsenal is going to have to hold me. I did get a bonus city! Hooray! The world record for Marathon, I'm not going to tell you the points. I don't remember the points. What I remember... yeah, okay, I lose. Like, there, I panicked. I panicked. Just... Alright, I lose. The world record for the Marathon, where the cities do replenish like this... like I said, I don't remember the points. What I remember is the time that it took. It took the guy 3 days. It's 71 hours and change for him to beat for what he played on Missile Command straight to get the world record. I want to say it was over 1 million points, and I got 10,000. For tournament settings, it was still 3 hours of the guy playing on 1 coin. So yeah, once you get to a certain skill level, apparently you can just kind of go forever. I am not at that skill level. Alright, this is much more my pace. I would say the second... Ooh, don't do that. Don't split on me like that. I would say that the second difficulty setting is probably my favorite. That's where it's kind of the sweet spot for me. But I do lose cities at that point. This is the only one where I can cleanly win without losing anything. So this is where I like to be. But in terms of a challenge, I like the second level. Once we get, I'm gonna lose that one. That's fine. It's just the arsenal. It will come back. Way over here. See how long that took. I don't like using those too often. But yeah, the world record is over 1 million points and took the guy several days straight. 3 days straight to complete. And there we go. Alright, I'm getting better. I'm doing better this time than I did before. I have all 6 cities still. But I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to go. Especially if these things start going... and I miss. Missing is not ideal. Alright, I only lost 1 city. I did lose an arsenal, but that's alright. Now we're at 3 times points and I'm screwed. Oh, I missed everything! Alright, you're my city. You're right here. This is my city that I'm defending. Everything else can go to hell. Hooray, I neutralized everything. Alright, yeah, these two. Okay, you need to go. No! I lost the arsenal! Ah! I can't. And that one's out, but I still have a city, so I made it again. And I get my arsenals back, and like 4 times points is nuts. No! Stop going around it, and I've lost. Alright. Those super missiles that kind of like go around your thing, you have to hit it right on the explosion, and I'm so bad at doing that. I usually just kind of let it, you know, go around it. I try to have the explosion out and then the missile kind of go into the explosion. That's kind of the way I think about it, trying to make it explode on the thing. If I'm just a hair off, then the missile will outrun my explosion, so to speak. So I'm not a big fan of doing that. All right, I think I got one more game in me. I did get the high score twice. That's got to count for something. But like I said, it feels very minimal compared to what I know other people can do. Apparently the guy that did get the world record did it on Twitch. So I'm sure that the link is still up for his 71.5-hour stream of getting the Missile Command world record, which he already had. He just extended it. You know, at that point it becomes more a logistical problem. Like, did you get to go to the bathroom? Did you eat? Did they let you sleep? What happens? All right. So far, so good. But as we know, this is not the hard part. Apparently, when you get up to like level 256, there's some glitches that you can use to get like 100 bonus cities at once or something like that. Haven't done it. Never got up that high. Yeah, we're gonna have to let the alien ship go. But I saved everything on the first level. Yeah, level 4 seems to be where things start getting a little too difficult for me. Right there. Trying to get them where they converge. Can I get you? I can. All right. That worked out very nicely for me. Maybe I can do it, but yeah, once we get up to level 3, it is bad. Nope, there. Okay, lose that arsenal. Oh, that's bad. Okay, well, I was able to save some of them. Try to be anticipatory, but it is difficult. I want that one. I want this one. Yeah, that one's gonna have to go. Cannot save you. Alright, well, I think I got a new... No, not yet. I got a new city. I thought I was gonna get a new high score, but that is not the case. Yeah, if you guys could put that... I couldn't get there in time! There goes all my cities. I was so focused on getting the like super missile that was pretty much it for me. So fell a little short of that first run, but you know what? I am proud of what I was able to accomplish here. 10,000 is a pretty good score, I think, for the setup that I had. Of course, if I had a little bit better setup, then I probably could get a little bit higher. If I had the mouse available, which happens in other versions of the game that we'll probably talk about at some point. We'll probably talk about the version that I played growing up at some point. It was not this version. But yeah, it's fun. Definitely. It's something that I feel like, once again, you could get good at enough to be able to play for an extended period of time. But we'll actually talk about that a little bit more later. I do try to talk about the world records for it. This one really stood out to me. And I will try to remember to name the person that actually got that. And so that way they can get their credit. 71 hours, that's insane. But that is Missile Command. So with the game now played, let's talk about how it holds up today. Playing the game today, the game does feel dated, of course, because of the graphics more than anything else. The gameplay is also pretty basic, but it is still fun. I don't know if it's necessarily fun enough for me to want to try to set the world record. I do have those in front of me. The marathon setting record is by Victor Sandberg, who did it in 71 hours and 41 minutes with a high score of 103,809,990. He reached level 10,432. Wow. And then on tournament settings, that was done by Tony Temple, who got a score of 4,472,570, which took 2 hours and 57 minutes. Tony Temple was also the first person to get past the highest level at Wave 256 on tournament settings, which is a big deal because then the game resets after Wave 256. So first person to beat the highest difficulty level without ever regaining cities. All right, so with that said, how does the game really hold up today? I would say that it is fun for a time. It is dated. It does feel dated when you play it. Of course, the arcade experience is probably going to be more fun for you. Since I did not die without getting a high score, I didn't get to see the end on there, but should I go to an arcade, I'm sure that would happen, that I would get the end instead of game over, which is so much more dramatic. It's just, you have failed. The world is destroyed because you couldn't do it. The end. But with that said, the sound, I think, is decent for the time. It feels like an old arcade game, of course. The graphics feel like an old arcade game. The cities, for me, are a little weird. They look more like flames than a city, but that is what passes for a city in 1980. The game is fun overall, but I don't particularly think it's anything special. For me personally, I would much rather play some of the other games that I found to be more addictive by this point, but there is definitely some fun to be had here. Absolutely. And I don't think that if you are going to kind of introduce friends, have a party with arcade games, that this should be excluded. But in terms of fun by yourself, we're probably talking about 10-15 minutes, like a lot of other arcade games of the time. And that's kind of the point. You want to get people interested enough and you want them to drop their quarters in, but you don't necessarily want them to be there all the time. At least that's always my interpretation of these older arcade games, because then they start getting too good at the game and that causes problems for the owner, which we will talk about in a bit. So overall, it is a fun game. It doesn't hold up as well as some of the other games of the time, but it does hold up fairly well. It is still fun to play. But of course, everything kind of surrounding that gameplay did not age well. And that's my modern take on the game. When the game was released, it was successful. It would go on to sell an estimated 20,000 units, making it one of the best-selling arcade games. The game has become synonymous with this era of video games, and has become representative of the fear of nuclear war brought by the Cold War. The one downside to the game that is frequently listed is that the game may be too easy once the player reaches a certain skill level. As a result, players can play for long periods on a single coin. This obviously is not ideal for the arcade owners that purchased the machine. Nevertheless, the reviews for the game have been consistently positive. The game would reach pop culture and would be shown in television and film. The game would inspire clones, ports, and sequels. In fact, by the end of 1980, a sequel named Missile Command 2 would be field tested, though it was not officially released. Looking ahead, we will be hearing from Dave Thurer again. his successful career will not end with Missile Command. Of course, we will be hearing from Atari again in the future as well. A company with this many big games will of course continue to make an impact on the industry. And that is going to do it for the story of Missile Command for now. My name is Baller Scuba. This has been Video Games Over Time. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in our next video where we'll start climbing.